What's up, guys? Look what we got behind me. Oh, this is bad news, man. This is bad news. It's tier list time. We're going to be making a month one tier list for Guilty Gear Strive, how I feel about the game's balance so far. Obviously, this is kind of a hot button topic, so just to square things off here, I'm going to say some do's and don'ts, okay? First of all, don't treat this tier list as gospel. The game is so young, I'm probably going to be wrong about a lot of stuff. Remember when Dragon Ball FighterZ came out and people thought Goku Black was top tier because he was really easy to play? The same thing's going to happen with this game. We're going to be wrong about stuff. So don't be like going to other people's streams and being like, JM Cross said this character's B tier. Like, don't treat this as gospel. I'm going to be wrong about stuff. This is just my opinion so far. Also, don't use this tier list to decide what characters to play. I really don't want people to be like, oh, I was going to play this character, but JM said that he's not that good, so I'm not going to play it. No, play who you think is cool. Play who you like to play. You will do better with a character that you enjoy playing than a character you don't enjoy playing, regardless of what tier they are. So play who you think is cool, okay? And do use this tier list as a jumping off point for discussion. That's the whole point. Is I want people to talk about it. Let me know what you think I'm right and wrong about. If there's stuff that I neglected to mention about why a character might be good or not so good, be sure to let me know that as well. And do come back and make fun of this video in a few months when we find out how off base things were. It's one of my favorite things about doing tier lists way too early in a game's lifespan is to come and revisit it later and laugh about how wrong it was and see how people's perceptions of the game and the characters change over time, because I actually think that that can be really informative as well as being entertaining. So to talk a little bit about the overall balance of the game, I do think the game is fairly balanced at launch. A large part of that is just like, if any character touches you in this game, you're gonna explode. Damage is unreal in this game, and it's pretty easy to confirm into big damage combos in a lot of situations. So that's sort of like a balancing factor. It's like Marvel 3, like you just die when you get touched. So even if you're playing one of the weaker characters. But also, Roman Cancel is so strong. Roman Cancel is just such a ridiculously powerful option. If your character doesn't have good mix-ups, you can use Roman Cancel to get really busted mix-ups. If your character doesn't have good defensive options, you can use Roman Cancel with YRC or Blue RC to get out of bad defensive situations. So Roman Cancel, I think, can really patch up a lot of holes in characters' game plans, and because everyone has equal access to this mechanic, I think that helps smooth out the balance as well. So you'll see here that I don't have any tiers below B. I think if I put someone in C tier, that kind of implies that I think that character like can't top 8 a tournament, or like they're not good enough to like get Celestial rank or whatever. Every character in this game can get Celestial rank, not a problem. And every character, I think, can top 8 tournaments as well. It's just that these characters down here in B tier, I think they're going to require a little more work. It's maybe going to be less consistent than the characters up in S and S+, who are going to be a little more consistently busted. So with that, enough talking. Let's just get into it, and we're going to start out with what I think is probably the most obvious pick here. Soul is S+, okay? They kind of went nuts with Soul, man. It kind of feels like he's the only Beta 1 character in the game. When Beta 1 came out, everyone was kind of crazy, and then they toned everybody down, but it's like they forgot to tone down Soul. This man has everything. He has a 3-frame 5K. That's one of the big reasons why I think he's the best character. 3-frame 5K, fastest normal in the game, and he gets insane damage if it hits, and it's dash cancelable, and it anti-airs, and it's 2 hits so you can hit confirm easier. Also, obviously, he's got an invincible DP, which is a very powerful tool in this game, getting people off you. He's got massively damaging combos. Oh yeah, and he's got Far Slash, probably the best normal in the game, plus on block Far Normal. No other character has that, as far as I know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but a plus on block Far Normal that you can frame trap with from pretty far away, pretty good tool. So overall, yeah, I think Soul is the #1 character in the game with a bullet right now. But there are some other characters that are pretty strong as well. Next up, I want to talk about Mei. I'm going to put Mei in S tier. Obviously, the Dolphins are very strong. Dolphin spam, super hard to deal with for a lot of characters. You have to have good reactions to react to the slow dolphin, or else she's just going to stay at plus frames forever and murder you that way. Very, very high damage. A really cursed jump arc. She's hard to anti-air, and if you mess up your anti-air and get counter hit by a jump H, you're going to take a bunch of damage. Command throw in the corner. She gets like 60% off it, so just a powerhouse character. She really forces you to play her game. She is going to be a wrecking ball coming directly at you, and you have to find a way to stop it, or else you are just going to take massive damage. So Mei, I think, is up there among the best characters in the game. Another one I'm going to throw up here is Ram. So Ram, she has gotten some nerfs throughout the course of the betas, but at this point, she's still a strong character, I think. Her jump normals are crazy good. Her far slash and heavy slash still some of the best normals in the game. She's able to get very high damage mid-screen and off of far normals, which are kind of rare properties for characters. So she can easily convert into damage and wall breaks, which is pretty strong in this game. And she has some pretty cursed, like, fuzzy stuff with RC. That's probably something we're going to see more and more for other characters as well, but yeah, I just feel like her screen control is very strong and her damage is very strong. She's just a very, very solid character that does well in most matchups, I'd say. Next up, also in S tier, we're going to put Giovanna. So Giovanna, I think we all kind of know why she's so good. She's always plus. Her moves like close slash, like her spiral arrow move, and then her quarter circle back move, sort of the jump kick that can cross up. She can just make herself plus all the time, and she can mix it up really well so that you can't just sort of mash 6P to get out of it. You have to actually have the reactions or make the read to stop her pressure. Her damage is very high as well. Her corner carry is good. She's got some ridiculous normals, like her sweep is one of the craziest normals in the game, and she gets good damage on counter hit. She can frame trap with far kick into sweep. So she's not the most exciting character in the game. She's basically just like strike versus throw. She's going to make herself plus, and then she's either going to throw you or hit you or bait the throw tech. It's a very straightforward game plan, but I think that's part of why she appears so strong right now, is because there's not that much to really figure out with the character. We've figured out why the character's good. Good movement, good normals, good plus on block specials. Very, very strong character. Giovanna coming in at S tier. All right, so those were the obvious picks, right? Those were the easy picks. I think it's time to start getting a little controversial here. The next character I'm going to put in S tier is Chipp, okay? If you guys are still trying to say that Chipp is bad, you are off your rockers, dude. Chipp is absolutely a monster. So obviously Chipp's mix-up is pretty crazy. He's got the cross-up versus the command throw, along with stuff like wall cling to go overhead. He's got really good cross-up normals as well in the air, so very, very hard to block. That's kind of like his obvious advantage. But on top of that, he's got a bunch of really abusable neutral tools as well. His dive kick, where he sort of spins down from the air, might be the best move in the game. I mean, Soul 5K is good, but this spinning dive kick, it's plus. You can't anti-air it with 6P because it often crosses up the inputs. You can basically just triple jump to get above them, make it hard for them to anti-air, and then 50-50 the cross-up with the dive kick. And even if they block it, you're plus on block, so you can keep pressure going. That move is crazy. That single-handedly makes Chipp pretty broken. He's also got an invincible reversal. I mean, meterless, that's pretty good and rare. You'll notice none of these other S-tier characters have that. He can do some really crazy damage as well. With the angled Alpha Blade, he is able to wall carry really well, get those wall breaks pretty easily. Obviously, he has the low health. That's really his only downside, but like, to me, I see him as sort of like a Seth situation from Street Fighter 4. Like, yeah, he has low health, but why would you ever get hit? I mean, he dominates neutral. His mix-ups are unreactable. Just don't get hit. Just kill them before they can hit you. So I really think that Chipp is a nightmare character right now. I think a lot of people are kind of starting to figure this out, especially in Japan. I've seen a lot of top players are messing with Chipp and feel that he's very strong. So yeah, for right now, I don't think this will be a hot take for long, but for right now, this might be my most unconventional take so far. But I think Chipp is S tier for sure. So next up, we're going to be moving into A tier, and this is going to be by far the biggest tier on the tier list. I mean, I think most characters being in A tier makes sense, right? It's like, these are the good characters. They're not standout strong characters, but they're good, and they don't really have any major flaws that I think could knock them down to B tier. But let's start out with Ino. Ino, obviously her mix-up is strong with her float dash. She has unreactable mix-ups for days. Her damage off of them is not really anything crazy. That's probably her biggest downside, is low damage. Hard to convert into like really crazy combos with her. She can do some stuff in the corner, but generally you're just going to be doing small combos and trying to keep the pressure going. But her neutral is actually pretty sick as well. Her fireball can be hard to deal with for some characters, and her HCL, even though it is nerfed, you can duck under it with pretty much every character. It can be a good move in some matchups. Stroke the Big Tree, I think, is maybe one of the more stupid special moves in the game. Like, why is this move a low that you can combo off of, and it's plus on block, the heavy version that is. And sure, it's like, okay, you can hit her out of it, but if she expects that you're going to press buttons, she can do the slash version instead and frame trap your button, and then she gets a counter hit. So Stroke, I think, is a really, really abusable move. I think it kind of single-handedly makes her neutral good. So if you combine that with her really good mix-up and the fact that she has a command throw super. So yeah, I think Ino is a mix-up monster with good neutral as well. That sounds like a recipe for a good character, even if her damage is a little on the low side. Next up, I'm going to put Leo. So Leo, I think we've seen in tournaments some of the reasons why this character is good. He's good at making himself plus using his cross-ups, and he's got that sort of guard break special in the back turn stance that's like plus 20 something on block. So really good at making himself plus so he can apply some mix-ups. He's also got a command throw, so his mix-up can be slightly improved with that as well. Hard to block high-low when he's in the back turn stance. Meterless reversal, which I feel like I'm emphasizing a lot, just how strong having a meterless reversal is in this game, and one of the best fireballs in the game. Yes, it is a charge motion, so you can't do it whenever you want, but charge time is short in this game, and his fireball is actually pretty nuts, especially when combined with his DP. So solid neutral, solid rush down, good damage too. And back turn stance is just really, really strong. Leo is going into 8th here. Next up, we're going to put Zato. So Zato, another character that I think was maybe slightly slept on, but people are starting to figure out that, yeah, he's pretty nasty, man. This character's neutral is deceptively good. I think his normals are low-key some of the best in the game. Like his 2S is a really crazy normal that you might not realize at first. His 2H, great normal as well. His drill special can be really good in neutral as well. It's also good meaty. He can get some plus frames off it. All the Eddie moves are obviously really insane. Like, they are balanced by the fact that they're attached to the Eddie meter. And I do think people are getting a little bit better at punishing Eddie so that he can't just like use these moves whenever he wants. But even with that, I think that Zato is really good. Also, one of the best supers in the game, the sword super, is actually crazy. The fact that it refills your Eddie meter, it sets up Eddie at the perfect spot to be applying pressure and mixing them up. The one really big downside that Zato has is on defense. I'm pretty sure Zato is the only character with literally no invincible moves, like not even supers. So when Zato is on his back, it can be tough to get people off you, but there are Roman cancels for that, so you can slightly make up for that by using YRC or Blue RC. But even with that downside, I just feel like Zato's neutral is so insane, and if you are complacent and just blocking, he's got that command throw to really punish you for that, so his mix is there as well. So super solid character. I'm putting Zato A tier. Next up, I'm going to put Axel. So I think I maybe slept on Axel a little bit too much at first. My big complaint about Axel for a long time was I felt like risk reward was not that good for him in this game, because basically if someone comes at you and you guess wrong, like you do 2S or something and they don't jump, they run, or vice versa, you do like 2H and they jump over it, like you just explode, right? If you guess wrong and the opponent gets in on you, you just kind of explode. But if you guess right, like, what do you get for it? You don't get that much. You get like 2S, 5P, 6K, like not that much. But it turns out people have gotten pretty good at using Drift RC to get to corner combos, even from mid-screen. And it turns out in the corner, his combos are kind of crazy with the Axel bomber loop. So I'm seeing people get like 2S into some RC stuff into like 60% for just the 50 meter that you use for the RC. And obviously if they're in the corner already, you don't need to RC at all. You can just get like 50+% meterless. So his damage is kind of getting developed into being really good. So with that downside gone, I feel like he's actually a pretty scary character to deal with. I still think that his time stop super is just trash. You shouldn't use it, but you don't really need it because RC is so good. Just spend all your meter on RC anyway. And if you really need to spend meter on super to get the opponent off you, he has that option as well. But he still is really good in neutral, and yeah, the damage is really starting to come together for this character. So he's moving up in my ranks, and we'll see. He might move up even more. We'll have to see how this goes. All right, next up, I'm going to put Nagoriyuki. So Nagoriyuki, really, I think he has one major downside, which is his defense. Similar to Zato, very weak defensive options, and unlike Zato, he does not have an air dash or a double jump, and his super jump is 10 frame startup, which is very slow compared to the rest of the cast. So when he's on the defense, it can be tough. You kind of feel like you're just trapped and there's nowhere for you to go, and you just have to block it out. I think you have to get good at using RC, like I've talked about, blue RC and YRC. Those are like his only real defensive options, so you can try to use that to get out of the bad situation. But other than that defensive downside, this character kind of has it all. I think he has some of the best neutral in the game, insane normals, insane mix-up, very good command throw, great blue RC and purple RC mix-ups, incredible frame traps, and if you ever get hit by any of his frame traps, you just take like 50%. His spinner, the 214H, I think is probably one of the best specials in the game. It's +0 on block. If you space it out, it's actually plus a couple frames on block. And you can special cancel it to frame trap them if they press any buttons afterward. You can command throw afterward if they're just going to block. You can cancel it into his command dash to make their attacks whiff. You can do close S afterwards and it beats throw. So there's like so much happening for this character. And he can really easily convert neutral into a positive situation just because his special moves are so insane. Obviously, you can't spam them because of the blood gauge. But honestly, like, the blood gauge is kind of a good thing because when he gets to level 3 blood, all of a sudden he has the best normals in the game. His 5H and 2H become incredibly ridiculous, and his jump H, you can't anti-air it because the sword hitbox goes through and hits you out of your 6P. So he's actually a really strong character when he is at that third section of blood before he goes into blood rage. So yeah, blood is a downside, but it's an upside as well. And overall, I think he is a strong character. I just feel like he does have to work a little bit hard in some matchups, especially matchups where the characters just stay on top of you, kind of like our boy Chipp over here, maybe May as well. I think those matchups can be hard because his defense is so weak, but yeah, what a character when he's allowed to get going. And then the last character here in A tier, we are going to put Millia. So Millia, similar to Ino, I think the low damage is kind of a big problem for her. In optimal situations, she can get some good damage. I've seen some cool stuff where you sort of like dash jump over them and they get hit by her meaty fireball, and then she can get really juicy confirms off of that. But generally, her damage is not that good. I feel like her frame data is a little weak as well. She has kind of a lot of punishable stuff, a lot of stuff that, unlike a character like, say, Giovanna, I think it's hard for her to convert things into plus frames. So, like, once you're already blocking her, she doesn't have that many options that don't require, like, a hard read where she can get anti-aired out of it or whatever. So, yeah, obviously her mix-up is insane. She's, like, impossible to block. So, similar to Chipp and Ino, her mix-up is out of this world. So once you get hit by her, she can take the whole round off that. I just feel like her damage being low and the fact that she kind of requires a little bit of some hard reads, or not some hard reads, but like you kind of have to commit to something unsafe when you are trying to get an offensive situation go. You have to like commit to like a bad moon or something, or like a sweep into a special and hope that they don't interrupt. So She has some weaknesses like that, but overall, just the fact that she's crazy hard to block, I think is pretty good. And I think her neutral is pretty solid as well. And, you know, her air mobility obviously is really good. So all that combined, I think Millia is pretty solid. All right, so next up, we are coming into the B tier here. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't think these characters are bad. I think these characters can win tournaments. I think we're probably going to see these characters win tournaments. And obviously these characters can get into Celestial. We've seen tons of people getting to Celestial with these characters. But first up, I'm going to put Anji. So Anji, I think his big downside is really he's just not that mobile. He's kind of clunky moving around the screen, and like the butterfly is not that good in this game, so I don't really think you can like throw this out to try to win neutral. You can really only do it when they're knocked down. Fujin is a good move for sure, but you know, I think people are really starting to get good at blocking that overhead on reaction. It's hard. I think, what is it, like 24 frames or something? It's a fast overhead relatively, but it's blockable on reaction. People are getting good at it. I just feel like I don't get opened up by this character that much anymore. The empty hop into throw stuff can be really good for sure, but he doesn't get that much off it. The spinner is good. I do think the spinner is good. People are getting better at dealing with it, but I don't know. I just feel like he's a little bit clunky, and when he gets in, it's like not super scary. It's like, okay, I'll probably be able to block the overhead out. And then we'll just go back to neutral where I can kind of beat him. And his only reversal is counter super, which, like, yeah, it's good that he has a reversal at all, but it does lose to throw, unlike a lot of wake-up supers. So it does have that downside. So yeah, I'm just not really blown away by Anji. I think maybe he could use a little something. Something about his mobility could be improved. I think that would help him out a lot. But he's solid. He's solid. I just don't think he's particularly impressive. Next up, we're going to put Potemkin. Potemkin moving up. For a while, I thought he was the worst character. I don't really think that's the case anymore. Obviously, he's still got the Potemkin thing where, like, you kind of have to outplay your opponent to win, I think. Or not necessarily outplay, but you have to make a read. If you know what your opponent's going to do, you just win with Potemkin, right? Because he's so damaging, and he has good options for punishing the opponent's escape attempts. You just have to know when they're going to try to escape. So I think if you're the type of player that likes to just know what your opponent's going to do and punish it really well, Potemkin's great for that. But I just feel like Mega Fist is a little over-nerfed. Hammerfall is very nerfed as well, so I just think it hurts his neutral a lot. He's got some really hard matchups, man. There are some matchups where he just really struggles to get in. His defensive options are not that good either. He's got that invincible super, which is pretty strong in some matchups, but generally I just feel like he's in a good spot. Don't get me wrong. I think if Potemkin is too strong, we end up in like a beta 1 situation where like it really sucks because he's so oppressive. If this character is strong, like, the game is not very fun to play, in my opinion. So I think he's in a good spot. I think it's good that, yeah, if you can make the right read, you can win a whole match off it. But he struggles a little bit up to that point, which I think is how the character is designed. They don't want him to just dominate neutral. They want him to have to work a little bit. So that's how he works, in my opinion. Next up, we are gonna do Faust. So a lot of people are saying that Faust is not good and that you should probably drop him. I think maybe people are being a little harsh, but yeah, like he's got a lot of problems. I just feel like the items are too weak. I think he could use a buff on the items. Some of them are like actually bad. Like the horn, 9 times out of 10, I think the horn is actually a bad item for him to get because the opponent just gets it. The opponent just gets the horn, and then all of a sudden it's like you have to block. There are some good ones, like I think the Afro is maybe deceptively good, and the Mini Faust is like busted. That's probably his best item other than Meteors, but a lot of his items I think are underwhelming, and he doesn't really have anything to sort of make up for it. His combos are generally weak outside of like super optimal situations. He has good anti-airs, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling Faust so far. I feel like he just needs a little something. I don't know. And then last we're putting Kai. I honestly, maybe I'm being a little too harsh on Kai. Maybe Kai could probably be somewhere down here, but I do think he's a B tier character. I think generally a lot of it comes down to his frame data. His frame data is weak. I mean, the quarter circle back attack, like the overhead slash thing, that's like -11 or something. It's way too easy for too many characters to punish, especially with stuff like RC or with instant block. His overhead kick is so slow, you can just like 5 PM out of it, get a full confirm. And what does he get if he hits it? He like doesn't get that much. His fireballs are like okay, but they're still super minus on block on mid-screen, so I feel like the zoning game is not that sustainable with him. He has an invincible DP. That's like the number one thing he has going for him is an invincible DP, but like I would say I compare him kind of to Giovanna a bit, where, yeah, he has a fireball and he has a DP, so he's not really the same, but when it comes down to it, you have to go at the other guy to win the game. Generally in this game, unless you're playing Axel or something, you have to go at the other guy to win. And how does he mix people up? He does strike throw, right? Like that's really his only mix up is strike throw. And unlike a character like Giovanna, her strike throw is insane because her dash is insane and she can make herself plus whenever she wants. Like, how can Kai set up throws effectively? I just don't see it. His frame data is too weak. So yeah, I feel. Oh yeah, and by the way, while I'm complaining, I feel like Dragon Install is just bad. I mean, it's okay, but like you can only do it when you're low, and I feel like when you're low on HP, you should just save your meter for RC anyway, because that's more likely to like make a comeback for you. So yeah, I think Kai needs a little bit of help. He's an easy character, and this is what's amazing to me, is like if you look at the top 4, these are probably 4 of the easiest characters in the game, so it makes sense that they're strong, right? Because easy characters, you can figure them out quicker, and they appear stronger faster. But Kai is like the easiest character, and he feels really weak, so I think that says a lot about how strong he is. Like, we figured out the character pretty well by now. And we figured out that he's not that good, so I don't know. I feel like it's an easy fix. I think just like 3 or 4 moves, shave a couple numbers off, and he'll be in good shape. But for right now, I think maybe he needs a little help. But that's gonna be it, guys. Let me know, what do you think? Am I off base? Am I losing my mind here? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think is my most controversial pick? That's what I'm interested in hearing. Do you think it's Chipp? Do you think I got Chipp too high? Do you think I got Kai too low? Let me know. So with that, we're gonna be ending it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.